Hi, I'm Billy Keels, the host of the Going Long podcast. Every week, I'm going to be here interviewing the absolute best in the business as it relates to real asset investing, as well as real Main Street investors. We're going to be having conversations where you can listen in, and that's going to help you to continue on your path to education so that you feel much more comfortable as well as confident in investing long distance. So make sure that you go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Make sure that you're liking it as well, because that way you can get every single episode as soon as it comes out. And by the way, don't forget to leave today's episode a 5-star review. Let's go ahead and listen to today's conversation. Welcome to the Going Long podcast. We're back once again to continue to help to educate you so that you feel much more comfortable as well as confident investing beyond your backyard. I'm your host, Billy Keels. And you know what? If you've ever wanted to know what it was like to be the European son that has risen from the ashes after losing $50 million in assets, then guess what? You're going to want to listen to every single word of today's conversation, because today's guest is a Dutch-born individual who moved to the United States of America, who is a philanthropist that has really impacted the lives of over 65,000 children, probably more than that today, and through his Tiny Hands Foundation. He's also someone who has gone through multiple seminars as he's had his triumphs as well as his failures. And I'm really sure he's going to tell us a little bit more about that. And really important to know that he's over his 40 years of career, he's built more than 22 businesses. He is the best-selling author of How to Create Lifetime Cash Flow Through Multifamily Properties. And he is also the host of the #1 rated real estate podcast, Lifetime Cash Flow Through Real Estate Investing. It gives me great pleasure to welcome to today's show, Mr. Rod Khleif. Rod, welcome to the show, man.
Hey, it's great to see you, Billy. This will be a lot of fun today.
I cannot wait. This is going to be awesome. And you have so much value that you are constantly adding to so many people around the world. And I'm just really, really fortunate in the entire Going Long family that you've decided to invest your time with us here today. So listen, Rod,
thank you. And by the way, I'm super jealous because I love La Rambla and the incredible architecture that you have in your city, my friend. And I miss it. And when you told me where you live, it's like, oh man, I've got to get back there when the world opens up again.
Yeah, once we get opened up, and you know what? My arms are wide open, so I'd love to see you back here in Barcelona, my friend.
Yeah, all right. I'm really looking forward.
Definitely looking forward to that. So listen, let's jump in. So Rod, as you know, I like to ask everybody kind of at least the same 5 questions. I'm going to ask you 2 now and then 3 at the end. But very first thing is, help us understand, where do you live in the United States?
Understand where I live? Well, I live in Sarasota, Florida. And I could be a poster child for the Chamber of Commerce. That picture behind me, it's a green screen, but it's a nice one, and it's my backyard. And you know, it's heaven. I mean, I don't like cold weather anymore. So, you know, I'm outside in my shorts today, and it's 55, which is kind of cold for me, but anyway, no, I love it here. We live on the water, and I happen to have a compound. So I've got, you know, a video studio here now. I turned one of my buildings into a video studio. We're dumping a bunch of money into it. It's going to be really cool because I do live events, and I did do live events. I was supposed to have 800 people in Orlando in May, and now we've gone live stream, and we had 900 people to that event live stream. And so now I do them all virtually. And I'm really enjoying it, actually. It's harder, though, believe it or not. You know, when you're in front of hundreds of people and you get their love and clapping and energy and all that stuff, it feeds you. And when you've just got your poker face photographer or videographer standing there, it's a little hard to maintain that level of energy. But I still really enjoy it. And it's nice just to be able to walk from one building to the other and go to work. So,
hey, gotta love that. And you can do that all from your compound there in Sarasota, Florida. So I have one more question before we get into your backstory. And it is something that really love to start out with every single guest. Help us understand, Rod, what is the most positive thing that's happened to you in the last 24 hours?
24 hours.
Yeah.
That's a great question. You know, I'm working on a new course called Courage and Confidence. And I recorded the first half yesterday, and it is freaking awesome. It's so much better than I anticipated. So I'm really excited about it. I was working on the second half before our call here, and we'll be recording it on Saturday. And then tons of editing has to happen. But it's I'm really excited about it because so many people out there, they know they want more. They know what they want to create that life of their dreams. Maybe they're in a corporate job, but they know they want more than that. They don't want to rely on other people or rely on a job for the rest of their lives, a W-2 income. They want to build passive income. Obviously, if they're listening to your show, Billy, and so sometimes they just need a push. And so I'm really excited about this product just because I feel like there's a need for it. So that's probably the most exciting thing for me. I was telling my wife how excited I am about it this morning with our coffee.
All right. Fantastic. Courage and confidence. And I think that is wonderful that you get the time with your wife to be able to have that coffee and be able to talk about the things. And,
favorite time of my life, the most important thing in my life, brother.
Don't you love that, man? And these little things that happen every single day. And the fact that you're helping us just to remind ourselves that there are little things that can happen. So courage and confidence, love to see that. And can't wait for everybody to be impacted once it's edited and out and live. So listen, I talked about a couple things and they're really, really high level stuff, but Rod, I would love for you to share with the Going Long family your backstory in your own words. And the fact that we know that you have some European roots, it's really, really, really going to be impactful for our entire audience. So I'll turn it over to you and talk to us about your backstory, please.
Yeah, no. So I was born in Holland in the Netherlands. I actually lived there for a few years. Then I actually lived in Israel for a few years, which is kind of strange. My father was Arabic. My mother was Dutch. But when I immigrated, we were in Holland and we took a big boat. That's how we came to the United States. I remember my mom crying when she saw the Statue of Liberty. I was 6 years old. My brother Albert, my mother's Vansha. We ended up in Denver, Colorado, and we struggled. I wore clothes from the Goodwill and the Salvation Army all the way through junior high school till I could afford to get a job. I got a job and I could afford to buy my own clothes. And we ate expired food because that's all we could afford, drank powdered milk. My mom thought milk was healthy. And we really struggled. But my mom had an incredible work ethic. So she was a bit of an entrepreneur as well, but she babysat kids so we'd have more money around the house. And with her babysitting money, she invested in the stock market and made money. But she also bought the house across the street from us when I was about 14 for about $30,000. And then a couple of years later, she told me she'd made $20,000 in her sleep, that it had gone up in value that much. I'm like, screw college, Mom. I'm getting into real estate. I know you wanted me to go to college. It ain't happening. I'm going to be rich in real estate. So I got my real estate broker's license right when I turned 18. Not an agent. I was actually a broker, which you could do back then with education. They got smart now and you need some experience. But I was a real estate broker and I was going to be rich selling other people's houses. Anyway, so, my first year, I maybe made about $8,000. My second year, maybe $10,000. But my third year, Billy, I made over $100,000, which back in 1981 was pretty good change. Yeah. And so what happened between year 2 and year 3? And this is what I talk about on my podcast and in my boot camps. What happened was I met someone that taught me about the importance of mindset and psychology, that truly 80 to 90% of your success in anything is just that, your mindset and psychology. Yes, you need the real estate knowledge. Yes, you need the entrepreneurship. You need to, the vehicle, but it's the smallest part. You actually have to take action with what you learn. If it was just the knowledge, there'd be a bunch of wealthy librarians and college professors out there. It's the do and it's the keep doing. It's the, push yourself out of comfort or through fear or past limiting beliefs to take action with what you learn. And so fast forward to today, I've owned a couple thousand houses that I've rented long-term, multiple apartment complexes. In 2006, my net worth went up $17 million while I slept in 1 year. And if you want to do the math on that, I think it's like $8,374 an hour over a 40-hour week. And of course I did. And I got a head so freaking big, I could barely fit it through a door. I thought I was a real estate god. When that happens, God or the universe, whatever you believe, will give you a nice little dose of reality. And yeah, I got a smack. And I lost $50 million in 2008. I lost everything. And so a lot of my messaging in my podcast and at my events is around the mindset it took, first of all, to have 50 million to lose in the first place, but then even maybe more challenging was to recover from losing it all. I mean, people jumped out of buildings here in the United States for, comparatively losing that much money back in the late 20s and in the Great Depression. And so, I enjoy talking about how I was able to pivot And right now, I will tell you the message is probably a good message, because with COVID, there are a lot of people hurting. And, and if you're listening to Billy, you're a leader, and the world needs leaders right now. And so your focus is so freaking important. It's so easy to get sucked into the fake news and the negative news. And the news is not there to inform us. It's there to scare the hell out of us. And so it's so important right now, because you're a leader, to pay attention to, what you allow in and bring in the good stuff. In my podcast, I do a clip every week called Own Your Power, and it's about mindset and psychology. It's only 5 minutes, so it doesn't matter if you like real estate or not. I hope you'll check it out, because it'll really pump you up once a week. It's called, my podcast is Lifetime Cash Flow. If you put in real estate on your iPhone, I usually come in number one. But anyway, so that's it. I recognized it's really about mindset and psychology. I spent a lot of time, 20 years, following Tony Robbins around the planet, who's probably the best in the world at that topic. And so, yeah, that's a topic I really enjoy. And of course, we can talk multifamily till we're blue in the face too, Billy. Wherever you want to take this, my friend.
Yeah, so you've really given us a lot to be able to unpack, right? And at the end of the day, as you mentioned, it comes down to mindset, psychology, and you have a wonderful story. I mean, starting in Europe, being in Israel, then going to the U.S. and Denver, and not coming over in the most ideal conditions, right? But that gave you an opportunity to really see some things. You had a mother who was entrepreneurial, who you were able to see that $20,000 in 1 year, and you thought, wow, I want to get involved in this. You took action. You were able to become a broker. Like you said, some things have changed since then. And from that point in time, you've then been able to continue to go out and add value and learn and grow through taking action. And I think that this is something that is really, really important. I do want to bring it back to kind of back to the roots thing, because and I've had the opportunity to work and travel throughout some 86 countries, right? And I'm a guy from Columbus, Ohio. I always thought that I was going to stay where I lived and never go anywhere else, right? And so there's something that I would love for you to share your perspective as it goes back to mindset and psychology is, what did like being born on one continent, learning, seeing things in a different perspective, how is that helping you today
great question.
To impact other people's lives?
Well, it's really a negative answer, but it's interesting because it's top of mind, because I just did it for this Courage and Confidence course. So I described why I was introverted for a long time, why, I didn't feel good about myself, why I came up with this question I asked myself for 20 years, which was, how can I show them I'm good enough? Because when I was 6, I got thrown into school here in the United States, and I didn't speak English, and I discovered what bullies were for the first time. And then my mom, God bless her heart, proud Dutch woman, thought it'd be a great idea to send me to school in wooden shoes just to show that I was Dutch, and wear these leather shorts that the Germans wear for Oktoberfest called Lederhosen. And so I got my butt kicked again. And then the bullies would chase me home, and my mom would chase them off with a fly swatter, and I'd get my butt kicked again. And so again, I had childhood experiences on the playground where I got rejected, it's stuff that happens to all of us, but it was impactful to me, and it caused me to create that negative question that that thought that I wasn't good enough. And but that's a double-edged sword. So that question, how can I show them I'm good enough, caused me to frankly be by societal standards, a success, a huge success financially, but I lost my first family. Okay. So, there's a good side and a bad side. I've come up with a much more empowering question now, but that was the impact on me. And again, it was initially negative, and, we didn't have money. So, I wore hand-me-down clothes, and I got my hair cut at the barber college for $1. And you can imagine what those haircuts look like. And so I just didn't feel like I fit in because I wasn't cool, and I didn't have the nice clothes and all that stuff. And that impacts your confidence, your self-confidence. And, I really believe, like I said, this is top of mind because I've been working on it for the last week, but I really believe that confidence is probably the most important factor to success. And so, Napoleon Hill talks about having a burning desire. And so if you'd like, I'd like to drill down on that topic just for a minute, because one of the most important piece, if you're listening to this and you're, say, an IT professional, or you're an engineer, or you're, someone, that's got a high level white collar job, but you want more, and you haven't taken action out of fear, or maybe you're comfortable And the comfort zone's a warm place, but nothing freaking grows there, right? So you need that burning desire to actually take action, to get up early, to stay up late, to do whatever the heck you have to do to build that side hustle. And, and again, we live in such an incredible world now where you can invest all over the world. And you and I are talking and seeing each other, across the ocean. And so it's just incredible what technology allows us to do. Back when I started, if you wanted to see what was for sale, you got this book in the mail called an MLS book, and that's what had everything for sale. And now you can go online in your underwear and walk down the street on Google Earth and everything else. And on your phone, that's right. And I walk down the street on Google Earth and see what the neighborhood looks like and what the asset looks like and so on and so forth. And so, you're blessed to have what you have today and the ability truly to invest all over the world. And I know that's the framework for your podcast, but back to mindset for a minute. So, one of the first things I do, and this will take about 3 or 4 minutes. Do you mind me going there?
Yeah, please do.
Billy?
Please do. Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
All right. So one of the first things I do at my events is
actually, Rod, sorry, I'm just going to cut you off because I know that you're going to say something that is just going to be so valuable for everyone else. So I also want everybody else, as much as I'm going to be attentively listening to what you're saying, I'm going to ask everybody that is part of our family to do exactly the same, because Rod is getting ready to share something really, really important with us. But
Thank
sorry
you.
about
And
that.
You may even want to take some notes if you have the ability. And if you're driving in your car, you can't. But if not, you may want to go back and revisit this. I'm going to describe a process that I do for about an hour and a half at my live events, but I'm going to break it down to the steps so you can do it yourself. In fact, you could actually go to my Rod Khleif official page. I did this on Facebook. No. I'm sorry. I did it in my big multifamily group on Facebook. I have the largest multifamily group on Facebook. If you go to multifamilycommunity.com, it's a direct link to that group. And I did this on January 2nd. If you want me to guide you through this, but let me give you a high level overview real quick. I call it goal setting on steroids. So what you do is you pick an hour and you have a lot of energy, and you just sit down, and you don't do it right after a big meal. You make sure you're well hydrated, and you sit down and write down everything you want in life. Okay. Not just the New Year's resolution stuff. I mean, everything, the houses, the cars, the boats, the jet skis, the planes, everything, and take the lid off your brain. Imagine if you write it down, you're going to get it, which is not outside the realm of reality. Okay. Because what that does is it starts a process that triggers your reticular activating system. And that's that filter in your brain that filters out subconsciously. You're not aware of it. It subconsciously filters out what it thinks is most important for you to focus on. Greatest example is when you first buy a car. You never really notice them. You buy it, you see them everywhere. That's your reticular activating system at work. And it works that way with your goals as well. So write down if you want to, and don't limit yourself. You want a private island, a jet, whatever it is, write it down. There's nothing you can't do, be, or have. Write down how much cash flow you want from your assets, say in 3 years, and then how much you want in 10 years. Write down how much money you want in the bank, say in 3 years and in 10 years. Write down also everything you want to do in this lifetime, all the places you want to go. Maybe you want to write a book. Maybe you want to climb mountains, all the things you want to do. Also write down everything you want to learn, all the skills you want to. If you want to learn multifamily, for God's sakes, come see me. I'll give you an opportunity. I've got a 2-day live stream boot camp coming up. I do them 3 or 4 times a year, so I don't know when this will air, but I'll do it. I'll give it to your people for $97, and I don't sell anything there. So it's like 16, 18 hours of training and nothing being sold. So it's kind of a duh for $97. But anyway,
just so everyone knows, and sorry to cut you off again, Rod, we're going to include all of these things in the show notes. So everybody who's listening, Rod's going to talk to us about some things. And at the end of the show, he's going to also give you a way to contact him, his team, things like that. But just be prepared for that. And no, don't worry. Don't have to write that down. They're going to be in the show notes. So sorry about that.
Yeah.
Go right ahead.
I'll actually make it real easy. But anyway, and I'll give you a code, like I said, so it's $97. So literally it's kind of a no brainer for 16 to 18 hours of training where nothing's being sold. But anyway, so write down what you want to learn. Write down, the skills you want to learn, whatever it is. And then lastly, write down who you want to help. Why? Because we'll do more for others than we'll ever do for ourselves. I bought my parents a house here on a canal. I took them on cruises, bought them a car. Who do you want to do things for? Write that down. Okay, once you can't think of another thing, and by the way, if you're analytical, which I know many of you listening to Billy are, don't analyze your answers. For God's sakes, just keep writing. You can scratch them out later, okay? You don't want to let the pen leave the paper. You want to keep that energy high, and literally everything you can think of, big, small, whatever, write it down. All right, once you're done with that, you need to put a time limit on each goal. Yep. And what you're going to do is put how many years you think it's going to take to achieve each one of those goals. So use a 1, a 3, a 5, even a 10 or a 20, recognizing that we will overestimate what we can do in a year and massively underestimate what we can do 5, 10, 20 years. I'll give you an example of this. When I was 18, I lived in Denver, right? But I knew I wanted to live on the beach. And there's no beach in Denver, obviously. And so, I'd visualize the palm trees and the surf and the sand and the waves and everything. And 20 years later, I built this incredible $8 million, 10,000 square foot home on the beach. I had the beach on one side. I had my boats on the back side. It was called a Gulf to Bay, and just spectacular home. But that was unthinkable when I was 18. So again, take the lid off your brain. If you can imagine it, you can get it. And that's the point here. Okay, once you've got a time limit on each goal, I want you to, there's a couple more steps, and I'll land the plane on this. So you need to pick your number one goal. I mean, that goal, when you get it, you're like, oh my God, this is amazing. That goal, that goal, like, you've arrived. Put that on another piece of paper. And again, if you come join me in that multifamily Facebook group, I do this on January 2nd. There's even a guide you can download that's got the questions and answer stuff on it. But anyway, then I want you to pick your top 3 1-year goals. Okay. So your number one life-changing goal and your top 3 1-year goals. Put all those on a separate sheet of paper and leave some room in between them. Okay, at this point, you're ahead of 99.9% of the people on the planet that do a New Year's resolution, but there's just a couple quick more steps. Number one, you need to put why each one of those goals is an absolute freaking must to achieve, okay? And you want to use emotionally charged words to describe it, like, so I can show my wife what incredible success looks like, so I can show my kids what it means to have amazing success in our lives. So, or, whatever it is for you, you want to write it down so we can have freedom to do whatever we want, whenever we want, wherever we want, bring whoever we want, whatever's going to juice you, write it down. Okay. And again, use words are very powerful. So use emotionally charged words, but then take it one little step further. Put some pain in there if you don't achieve the goals. Now, we will do more as human beings to avoid pain than gain pleasure. And again, this is the fuel. This is what's going to get your butt out of bed early and stay up late and do whatever it takes to create this for yourselves. If you're willing to work like most people won't for a few years, you'll live the rest of your life like most people can't. Okay. And this is the fuel. This is that burning desire that Napoleon Hill talks about in Think and Grow Rich. This is how you get it and you tap into it. So put some pain in there if you don't achieve it, so I don't feel like a failure. So I don't live a life of regret. I mean, make it hurt, okay? So I don't fail my children. So I don't fail my spouse, okay? There was a nurse in Australia, and there was a hospice nurse. Her name was Bronnie Ware, and she counseled patients when they were, about to die. And she asked them a question. And the question, Billy, was, do you have any regrets? She even wrote a book about it. It's called The 5 Regrets of Dying. And you know what the number one regret was? Not living the life I could have lived, living someone else's life, not doing what I know I was capable of. Guys, you need this to make sure that doesn't happen. Okay. So you've got your whys down. Last thing is you need to get pictures, put them around you to manifest this stuff. And I'll give you some public examples that are really powerful, or you make declarations as well. So the first example is Jim Carrey, the actor here in the States that as a comedian, did the movie Mask and all sorts of other movies, but he wrote himself a check for $10 million when he was flat broke, okay, out of his bank account. And he used to sit up by the Hollywood sign in LA and he'd visualize cashing that check. And that's how much money he made for Dumb and Dumber. So there's one example. Here's another more recent example. The singer Demi Lovato, when she was kind of an unknown 10 years ago, posted on social media, I'm going to sing the national anthem in the Super Bowl. Go watch the Super Bowl in the football here in the States. She sang it. So these things work. I'll give you some personal examples for me. Back when I was 18, I figured because I was selling other people houses, I had to have a 4-door car. So I bought this bone ugly Ford Granada, ugliest piece of crap you ever saw. But a bench seat in the front, but I figured I had to have that to sell houses. Well, I worked with the guy I was telling you about that taught me about mindset initially, had 2 Corvettes and he let me drive one. And I'm like, oh my God, this is amazing. So I got a picture out of a magazine. This was before the internet. I put it on the visor, a picture of a Corvette, put it on the visor of my Granada. Every time I sat in there and that piece of crap, it was right there in front of me. Within a year or two, I had one. A couple more quick examples, but let me pre-frame this by saying this is not me bragging because none of this stuff really interests me anymore, but it's great for illustrative purposes and hopefully inspire you listening. Mm-hmm. All right. So this is back when the TV show Magnum PI was out. It was a detective story it was a series with Tom Selleck was the actor, and he was in Hawaii and he drove this Ferrari 308. First time I'd ever seen an exotic car. And I'm like, oh my God, that thing's amazing. So I got a picture of that car, put on the visor of my Corvette. Within a year or two, I had a Maserati, looked just like it. Last example. I'm the guy that always wanted a Lamborghini. Okay. I had posters in my bedroom growing up and And, what's interesting is my son collected models of exotic cars when he was 9 years old. He had a model of the exact same color and style that I ended up with. So guys, get pictures. In fact, I'll show you. This is my planner. It's on today. In the back of this thing, I've got pictures that have been in here for 20 years. Now, the first pictures of for those of you that are listening on iTunes, you can't see this, but in the back of this thing, I've got pictures in plastic. This is my daily planner. It's called Franklin Planner. It used to be a day timer, but luckily the holes lined up because I've had this for 20 years. And so in the first pictures are my gratitude pictures. They're pictures of my kids when they were young, because everything starts from a place of gratitude. So you'll see those, but then you'll see pictures of the things that I wanted. So this top picture looks just like the house I built on the beach. I mean, I had the 10-foot high glass like that, butt together. I had travertine floors like that. Now what's crazy, I lost that house and all the craziness, but I live in this compound now, and you can see this, Billy, but on those bottom pictures, you see the white stone walls in both those bottom pictures. Those are actually two different properties. Look behind me.
It looks pretty similar. So here's
the same wall.
So Rod just said it. He said it in a nice way, but since we're all family here, Rod, you're part of the family, listen, if you're listening to us, you need to stop, because the part that Rod is talking to us about right now, I know we started with really understanding from the burning desire with Napoleon Hill, but there is the whole process that he is now taking you through is really to help you be able to visualize it and visualize it so that you can then see it to believe it, so that you can begin to take action on it. And so for those of you that are listening to us, I'm going to highly recommend that you stop a second just to see exactly what Rod is doing, because he's not just explaining.
You put these on YouTube?
Yeah. This is going to be on YouTube. It'll be on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook. So the thing is you need to be able to see what he is showing you. So sorry, Rod, I had to stop there.
No, it's fine.
I want everybody to see that.
Yeah, in the back of the planner, I've just got pictures that I put in plastic 20 years ago. And, like I said, this bottom pictures are just like the house, the compound I have now. It's crazy. I live in this compound. I have 6 buildings. I've got a giant main house, 2-bedroom guest house on the water, building that's got an entertainment room with a theater room and a wet bar and a video studio above it, and on and on. It's just unthinkable. I've got a beautiful exercise facility. And then other things that I've wanted, watches. I've got a few $100,000 worth of watches, stupid shit, the Lamborghini before I ever got it, the Rolls Royce, the Bentley, all this stuff that I got because I had pictures. So I know if you're analytic, you're like, okay, let's get on with the real estate stuff. I'm here to tell you this shit is more important. Okay. Trust me on this. Okay. This is how I had 50 million to lose and how I got it back. So, I hope you don't poo-poo this. It really does work. So get pictures, put them around you, put them on the walls. I've got vision boards behind my green screen here that I sit and I visualize in the morning what I want as if I already have it, with gratitude. Again, that gratitude's a key piece, Billy. That's how you bring these things into your life. And this is how I did it. So, it works.
No. And so these are, once again, and I'm just going to high level, and it all starts with that burning desire that you talked about before, and being able to have a very clear process. You've also, you've explained it to us at a very high level, and also given us the detail to help each and every one of you to take the steps. And I can tell you, as someone I'm a big believer in how Elrod's savers, right? And one of the things is visualization. And so being able to see something every single day, starting your day out with gratitude, being able to have a very clear plan of what you want to do to feed your brain, as you mentioned at the very beginning, Rod, it's so important to have a plan, to see it, and then you're living proof. So we're looking at you, we're watching you, we've seen what you showed yourself many years ago, and it's come to fruition.
I still do. There's one in the back that I never show. I haven't hit it yet. Let me show this. Kind of funny.
So this is going to be something exclusive for us.
See the 6-pack? I haven't had a 6-pack yet. Okay, so
you're working on it.
I even have a picture with my No, I don't anymore. I had one with my picture on the top. I took it down. It's too embarrassing. Anyway,
it's aspirational.
But this stuff freaking works. I've got pictures around me, the things that matter to me now, and phrases on the wall that juice me, like focus, grind now, play later, comfort kills, a Grant Cardonism. I am success. I am a business genius. I'm the best in the world at what I do. Not ego. That's what I'm aspiring to be. And, anything you put the words I am in front of is an identity statement. So I've got these identity statements all over my offices, my exercise room. And I yell these out at the top of my lungs. I am success. And it gets into you, the fiber of your being, and you embody it. And so, it's funny. My kids helped me at my live events when we were doing them, and people come up to them and say, "Does he really do that stuff?" They're like, "Yeah, he really does."
You can't make this up. Come on, Brad. I mean, the way that you're describing the detail it's really important. So, a couple things. So, and this is important for our family, right? Is to understand that, once again, Rod, you are sharing what you have not only understood, but you've done. And so this is something that is really, really important. And I want to help to set for people that are maybe saying, okay, well, I kind of understand this, but it's the same thing when you're sitting in your role and you're thinking about your job and you're thinking about doing something differently, because you have only invested in the stock market, let's say, and now you're thinking about doing something in a new area, creating new alternatives for yourself, looking at real assets, real estate. And we're going to talk a little bit about multifamily as well. And so this is a process that you can use as you are a W-2 employee, as you are someone who is looking to do something different. It's a great way to get out there and do that.
It starts with this, Billy. I mean, it starts with this. You have to want it. And how the heck are you going to get anything if you don't know what it is? Clarity is power. You need clarity on your goals as well. Yeah. And if, I know you've got a lot of analytical listeners and you guys stay in your heads. And if you're in your head, you're dead. You got to get this stuff on paper, right? You've got to get it down. You've got to associate with it. And this starts the process. Now, there are other steps as well, but this is the most important one. You've got to want it. You've got to know what it is with clarity. And that's what's going to get you to take action and push through fear.
And so you're going to have to push through the fear. You're going to want to get there, and you've got to have that burning desire that you talked about. Yeah. And so you're helping us look forward. And so I want you to also, you talked about sometimes you're running towards pleasure, or you're moving, or you're running away from something painful. I want to take you. I want to take you to a moment that was painful for you. You've already talked about it. And I'd love for you to help us understand. Let's go back to 2008. You were sitting at the top of the hill and things kind of, as you said, you got smacked in the forehead.
Right.
So you got to a really low place. You lost $50 million worth of assets, right? And in terms of the value, what was there.
Oh, that was net worth. That was net worth.
Okay. Yeah. Perfect. So net worth, you're making it.
I owned a lot more in assets. That was the net number.
Okay. So the net worth. So that's even a more painful piece, right? Yeah. And so, but the thing is, as I talked about in the beginning, like the Phoenix, you've risen from the ashes. So help us understand, when you're in such a low place, like what were the keys to you being able to find the fortitude and move forward and get back, like the steps? I know you talked about the burning desire.
Yeah, great question. Well, that's it though, Billy. That's the answer. Is I reassociated with what I wanted. Right now, it's so easy to focus on what you don't want. I mean, don't get me started on freaking politics or any of that stuff. It's, there's so much. And it's human nature to think about pain and even connect through pain. And right now, more than ever, you've got to focus on what you want, because whatever you focus on is going to get bigger, both positive or negative. I'll give you an example of this dynamic. They asked Mother Teresa if she was anti-war. She said, no, I'm pro-peace. And that's an example of that. I get students or people that ask me, or tell me I need to get out of student loan debt. And I'm like, dude, wrong statement. You need to focus on making money, so the student loan debt is irrelevant. So again, what you focus on gets larger. And so I just had to reassociate with what I wanted, and luckily, I knew that, and I'd worked on it, and I'd practiced it for so long. Sure, I hid under a rock for a couple months. Good Lord, I thought I was set for life. I truly did. I thought 80 million baby boomers getting old and getting cold. Florida was recession proof. Well, we were, ground zero for that time. But anyway, the key was reassociating with what I want, focusing on what I want, not getting caught up in, and for a while I had the story. Yeah, I lost $50 million, and that was my story for significance. Okay. But it's really important to pay attention to, the stories that you use for yourselves, guys. It's so important, because they can empower you or disempower you. And that one disempowered me. Now I use it as an example now, but it's not my story anymore. Okay. Yeah. I mean, we bought 2,300 units in the last 18 months. Okay. So that's not my story anymore, so pay attention to that. But and then once I pulled myself up and I redirected my focus, I realigned on my goals, realigned on my whys, I was back. I mean, that was it. I was back on the trajectory, and I built another company that I sold last year and did all sorts of things and kept my eye on the goal. So here's the success formula. This is Tony Robbins talks about this. You get your goal in your mind's eye. If something doesn't work, you realign, you repivot, and you focus on that goal, and you change your approach. If that doesn't work, you keep your eye on the goal, you change your approach and go towards the goal. If that doesn't work, you get the idea. It's the same thing. You pivot, you innovate. Right now with everything going on, maybe you need to innovate or pivot if you're getting, damaged by COVID. Some of the greatest countries on earth were built in times like this. Yep. Okay. And again, if you want a side hustle and it's multifamily, let me verbalize this because it'll help. Text the word multifamily to 41411 if you live in the States. And we'll get you the information on that. And then write this down. Try to remember this. Use the code RODFRIEND, and you can come for both days for $97. Okay. And again, I don't sell anything there. So it's truly a duh if you have any interest in real estate. Now, if you don't live in the States, you're going to have to go to multifamilyvirtualbootcamp.com. Okay. I know it's a long word, multifamily virtual bootcamp, and use that code RODFRIEND, and you can come spend 2 days with me. Now, again, I spend a lot of time on mindset there and fear and limiting beliefs and goals and all that, because that's 80 to 90% of this. It truly is. You got to take action. And so, but you'll drink through a fire hose about the multifamily business. So if you want to drill down on any pieces of that, Billy, I'm happy to do that.
So there are a couple of things. So it comes back to the basics, right? It's the burning desire, having the plan, being adaptable, and being able to do that. So there are kind of two questions I want to make sure that we absolutely get in. So before we get to our going long final three, but the first is, and we're thinking about. We're thinking about so many of our family that is here and thinking about doing some things differently and doing things long distance. You've mentioned before, you lived all over the world.
Right.
You currently call Florida your home, right. But there's a whole thing about, we want to help people feel comfortable and confident investing beyond their backyard. So
let's talk about it.
So help us understand, like, why did you, I always ask the question, like, why did you ever even decide to invest outside of Florida or help other people invest in different places? Like, why would you even do that?
Well, because it's easy. Okay. We have assets in Dallas. We have assets in Kentucky. We have assets in Louisiana, Ohio, South Carolina, and Florida. But Florida is very hot right now. So we go where there's low hanging fruit. Okay. So and it's so easy right now, guys. Okay. You can do most of your preliminary due diligence over the phone and with a laptop. You go. That's what I was going to say. Talk us through it. You go on Google Earth and you drive down the street, you look at the cars in the parking lot for the asset. You look at the date the picture was taken, of course, but get an idea for the tenant base. You go down to the main road on Google Earth, and if there's a pawn shop and a liquor store and a strip club, that's a clue. Okay. And so, or you go on spotcrime.com and you put in your home address, and you're blown away by how much crime happens around you. But then you put in the asset, and you'll see if you're in the hood, you can do a lot of your financial analysis right there on your laptop. We're on your, right there at home. You can ask the questions on the phone. I won't even go to another state to look at an asset until it's fairly well locked up. I'm not going to spend the money and waste the time. So we live in, again, back in my day, if you wanted to see something, you had to go drive or fly there. Now you can do most of it remotely. Yeah. And you can look at it aerially to see what's around it. I mean, there's so much you can do now. And so, and of course, listen, the reason I crashed and burned is because I was lazy and I focused on houses. They were easy for me. And it was, actually uncomfortable for me to invest out of state back when I crashed and burned. So I didn't. Right. But I've learned. Okay. So I'm a poster child for, going where there's opportunity and investing there, because you can. And we live in a global society right now. This conversation is proof positive of that. And so, you've got assets. You told me you've got small multifamily assets domestically. That's even harder. Those are even harder than larger ones. With larger ones, we have our own on-site staff. And so, there's a lot less, management involved. With a smaller asset. You've got to have a really good management company, which I'm sure you do. But
down to the team.
The point is, exactly. It's totally doable. And what I would recommend is, if you don't live domestically, that you align with, at least for your first deal or two, align with some domestic folks and operators. And, and again, if you're thinking multifamily, for God's sakes, come spend 2 days with me, because you'll meet a lot of operators there. Okay. I have, a lot of my Warrior mentorship students do the breakout sessions. We probably have about 2 to 3 billion in assets represented by the breakouts where we answer questions. But the point is, there's a lot of operators that you could connect with and align with if you want to, if you are, out of the United States and want to invest in the United States. I've got students in Israel and Turkey, in where in Europe, I brain fart, but I've got them all over the world. And so, you can invest anywhere from anywhere right now. We live in the greatest time. I mean, I wish I could stick around for another 50 years to see what it's like then, but it's pretty freaking amazing right now.
Hey man, once you get yourself those abs that you had in the back of the picture, it could be another 70 or 80 years, man. Why not? Why not? So
well, I just turned 61 and I don't feel it. So that's a good thing.
You don't look it. You don't look it. So well done. Well done. So listen, just to come back, I hope everyone heard the reaction and the response that Rod just gave you. He said it's easy. Right. And so meaning that it's easier now than it ever has been because of technology. He also mentioned the fact that you want to make sure that you understand what you're doing, and when also getting clear in terms of what it is that you're looking for. Are you looking for cash flow? Are you looking for You're looking for cash flow. You're looking for appreciation. What are you looking for? And then being able to find that location that has the result that you're looking for, aligning yourself with the team, and then making sure that that team can go to the specific opportunity, and doing things in that order can really help to increase your chances of success. And you're doing that wherever you want to live and investing where it absolutely makes sense for you. So I think so you helped us to understand that.
It's not just the location, Billy. It's also the vehicle, obviously. Okay. So are you going to do multifamily? Are you going to do a different real estate asset class? Are you going to, buy a business? Are you going to invest in someone else's business? Maybe you're going to invest passively. Yep. We just raised $13 million in 5 days for this new asset we're buying in Dallas. And, and that's a great way to start as well. By the way, if you don't want to start actively, you start passively, because there's a lot of people start that way. By the way, if you've got some extra cash, you invest in someone else's deal, you learn behind the scenes what's going on. You also can put it on your resume. I'm invested in 200 doors or 300 doors or whatever it is. Yep. And believe it or not, when you go to become an operator yourself, that experience will cause you to probably get a little less of an interest rate as well. So it's a really beautiful way to start if you're apprehensive about starting on your own. So I just want to stop you there as well, right? Because this is about, if you're apprehensive, there's probably some fear there. We've talked about the difference, the ability to go long, as we like to call it here, investing long distance. We know that you know a whole lot about multifamily. So I want you to just give us a couple of minutes, because we're also helping our family to understand the different asset classes within real assets. And so talk to us a little bit about why someone who is, maybe I'm working in a really demanding job. The stock market's not really working out well for me. I'm really learning more about this whole real asset stuff. Multifamily sounds great. Rod, you're helping me to understand a lot more about it, but we haven't really talked about it. So give us just a really high level as to why is multifamily such an area that someone who is in a really busy job may look to say, this is the area I could create new alternatives for myself. Well, let me just say this. I've got students that have retired from very busy jobs with kids, with families, because their multifamily income eclipsed their very high W-2 income. Okay. So, and they did it on the side. So don't tell me you can't do it, because you can do it. Okay. And there's no excuse here. Bottom line. That's right. It's all he's pointing to his head. It's all in your mind. And so, but let me circle back 1 second before I talk about the benefits of multifamily. Yep. If you are going to invest passively, come spend 2 freaking days with me, okay? Because you don't want to invest in anything that you don't understand. For God's sakes, don't give your hard-earned money to someone unless you know a little bit about the business. That applies to the stock market. If you're going to build a business, invest in a business, learn what it is you're investing in. And if you spend a couple of days with me, you will know what you need to know to ask the right questions and make sure your money is safe and be in the right place. So anyway, but back to why multifamily. First of all, it was probably the most resilient asset class in 2008. Let's look at right now. Okay. Do you think you're a happy person if you're invested in retail, like strip centers and shopping centers right now? That would be no. Okay. Restaurants are hurting. I have a lot of friends in that business, and what I'm hearing is about 70% of their tenants are asking for rent concessions. Now, does the government help commercial real estate owners in the retail space? No. I mean, they can get those PPP loans, but it doesn't help the landlords. Same with office buildings. A lot of businesses are learning you can transact business remotely. You don't have to have an office space. Office is hurting. Multifamily is not hurting. Okay. So multifamily, I think, is the best asset class. When I was losing everything in 2008, it was I had 800 houses, and I was spread out 2 hours one way and 2 hours the other way, and everywhere in between. It was a logistic mess. I thought I was smart, but I wasn't, as it related to those single family houses. It was the houses that pulled me down. I was only at a 30% loan to value, Billy, in 2007. I only owed 30 cents on the dollar, and I still crashed and burned. And it was because of the houses. My multifamily did just fine through the crash. I pulled back about 11% in collected rents. Could have easily survived. Of course, in my brilliance, I cross-collateralized my multifamily with packages of houses, thinking, it's smart to save 5 basis points on an interest rate. 50 basis points. And so I lost everything. I'd still had that multifamily if I hadn't done that. So the point is, multifamily is super resilient. We have, within 3 years of the 2008 crash, rents were higher than they were in 2007. Okay. So that's how fast it rebounded. So people need a place to live. It's Maslow's hierarchy of needs, So, it is, the beautiful thing about multifamily as well is it takes money, but it doesn't have to be your own money. Okay. There's so much money looking for deals. Like I said, we raised $13 million in 5 days last week. Okay. And because there's so much money looking for deals right now. And, and the beautiful thing about multifamily real estate is it's empirical. It's numbers. You get the numbers right. You get the numbers right. And you ask the right questions, and you'll know how to ask the right questions. You get lots of resources if you come spend a couple of days with me. In fact, I'll show you something. I got it right here. Here's the manual for the boot camp. Okay. And there's no fluff. I'm not selling anything. And then you get all these other books. Okay. And one of them is a due diligence checklist. So if you know the numbers and you ask all the right questions, it's pretty freaking hard to make a big mistake. It really is. And that's why, the business is so awesome because it's empirical. Let's see. And the other thing is, well, first of all, what can you buy that someone else pays off for you? Right. And that's why my podcast is called Lifetime Cash Flow. And, I'm super excited. We just broke 10 million downloads. And if, if you want to learn this business, come listen to my podcast as well. I think you really enjoy it because I have those motivational clips as well. But then I interview some of the best in the world. My 500th episode, I had 4 guys that have done 200,000 units between them. It's called Multifamily Titans or something. Yeah, Titans of Multifamily. Anyway, so the point is, the reason we love it is, first of all, someone else pays off your investment. Second of all, it's pretty it's primarily empirical. You just got to learn the numbers and you've got to do the analysis. It's recession resistant, if not recession proof, if you buy right. And there was one other thing. Oh, ease of management. Okay. The logistics, like what killed me with my houses here is if I send a maintenance guy to one of my houses, let me back up. If I send a maintenance guy to one of my apartment complexes, everything's the same. So, the HVAC, the appliances, the door locks, the windows, they're all the same. So you could stockpile parts and I could send a guy to fix something, be in and out in an hour. Boom. If I just send someone to one of my houses, everything's different. They'd have to maybe drive an hour and a half one way to get there, see what's wrong, go find a hardware store, Lowe's or a Home Depot is what we have here in the States, a big hardware store, and get the parts. Then they'd have to go back. And I don't know if you've ever fixed anything, Billy, but usually when I try to fix something, I have to go back. I have to go back again. And so, what took an hour at one of my apartment complexes took all day at one of my 800 houses. Yeah. And so the point is, you can hire people to manage multifamily as well. So you're not killing yourself. You don't have to deal with toilets. In fact, you shouldn't, have a management company handle that for you. And that's the beautiful thing about the multifamily asset class. I could go on and on.
Yeah. So, so you've given us a really high level of really understanding the strength of multifamily, how it has performed recently, how it performed in the last downturn, some of the different areas of scalability. Also, there are opportunities to be able to invest passively with other people, things like that. So we're also going to include in the show notes, as I mentioned before, there's a way for everyone to learn more about the multifamily space with your 2-day boot camp and things like that. But we only have a couple minutes left, Rod, and I want to keep talking to you forever, right? And I know everybody wants to continue to learn from you. Like I said, you're always adding so much value to so many people. Let's kind of hit this. The going long final 3 is what we like to call this part, or what I guess I like to call this part, and what we like to listen to. And the thing is, I never ask the going long final 3 unless you tell me that you're ready for me to ask. So, are you ready?
Oh, I have to tell you. Okay. Bring it on, Billy. Bring it on.
I knew you'd be ready, man. You were born ready. So here we go. So we started on your side of the pond in the beginning. You helped us understand where you live in Florida, on the East Coast of the United States, Southeast. And so I'd like to bring it back to Europe now. So help us understand, Rod, what is your favorite European city, either that you have visited
that's easy.
or is still on your bucket list? Hit it.
Oh, no, that's easy. Well, I'll give you my top three: Rome, Paris, but my top beyond question is the Amalfi Coast.
Amalfi Coast.
It is spectacular.
Yes, I love it.
All the yachts that are there.
Yeah.
It's so beautiful. I mean, everywhere you look, it's just freaking beautiful.
Head over to Capri or something
lemons
like
as big as grapefruits, and great food, and just winding roads with cities built up the hillsides, just spectacular.
Right.
So that's my favorite place for sure.
Amalfi Coast. So we'll keep that. We'll get into the second question really quickly. Right. So you are a successful person. You've talked about how you also had a net worth that was, well, $50 million down.
50 million. No, that was real. That was conservative, actually.
And then you were able to come back from that. But through that, what I've learned is that really, really successful people typically only make one mistake. And that was the one mistake that you made. And so, no, I'm just kidding.
I was going to say,
it was a joke. It was a joke.
I was about to smack you there, brother.
No, it was a joke. It was a joke. It was a joke. So the thing is, if you can think of like one mistake or learning opportunity or seminar, as you would call them.
I call them seminars.
What is the lesson that you would share with the Going Long family?
Okay, you want a lesson. Well, let me say one thing. We fail our way to success, Billy, and I'm okay. I've got a few minutes after the hour here, so we're okay. But we fail our way to success, okay? By the way, the bio you had was dated. I've helped 95,000 children. This is ego. This is ego talking now. And I built 24 businesses, again, ego. Now, out of those 24 businesses, several were tens of millions of dollars. Now, most were spectacular flaming seminars because we fail our way to success, but we're better each time, right? We learn. It's only a failure if you don't get back up, number one, or you don't learn the lesson, right? And so, I've had so many lessons, Billy. I wouldn't even know where to start. Again, I'm a shiny penny guy. I'm a let's try that guy and let's try that guy. Now I've learned and we talked about this before we started recording. I've learned to focus because focus is power. If you've got too many things going, it dilutes your focus and everything suffers. But I think let's start with that lesson because I remember in Denver, I had 2 frozen yogurt shops. I had a carpet cleaning business. I had vending carts selling ice cream bars, and I was flipping houses, and everything suffered. When I got rid of everything except the houses, I bought 500 houses because focus is power. Okay, so there's the lesson. Don't dilute your focus.
Don't dilute the focus. And then we're going to get into the last, which is the third of the Going Long final 3. And I just want to tee something up just really quickly, just as a reminder before you give us your recommendation, which you don't know the question yet, but you are once again a best-selling author of How to Create Lifetime Cash Flow Through Multifamily Property. So we're going to also include that in the show notes. And so what I'd love for you to share with the Going Long family today, Rod, is what is the one book that you would recommend to our family?
Sure. That's easy. So I'm going to give you way more than one. My love language is gifts. Okay. And I would recommend, if you love anybody, okay, I hope you heard that correctly. If you love anybody, get the 5 languages of love. Just get it because you need to give them love in the way they feel it. So but my students get books from me every month. So here's some of the books I send. Turning Pro by Stephen Pressman. Stop being an amateur, be a professional. The Slight Edge. All those little decisions you make every day that traject your life up or down. They're not impactful that day, but when they accumulate, they're very impactful. Of course, Hal Elrod's Miracle Morning. I had him on the show. Beautiful human being. John Keller's The One Thing. I had his co-author on the show, Jay Papasan. Trying to think what other books. The Magic of Thinking Big, Jack Canfield's book. Very simple, but really good. I could go on, but there you go.
We're going to go with the 5 love languages.
Think and grow rich. Think and grow freaking rich. Think and grow rich. I've given away thousands. I'm not exaggerating. Over 3,000 copies of that book because people that come to my live events get a copy. That's a book you should read every year, maybe twice a year. I was just in Cabo and I read it again for probably the 10th time. Awesome. So Think and Grow Rich. All right.
Okay. Think and Grow Rich. Fantastic. If you're okay, we're going to take the first one that you said, the 5 love languages, because I think that was awesome. So we'll and we're going to include your book as well.
Whatever.
And listen, everybody just got a bunch of extra recommendations, which is awesome. So give. Listen, Rod, this has been spectacular.
Oh, right? Thank you, buddy.
You've really helped the Going Long family understand that you can be born on one continent, you can live on another continent, you can learn, you can have that that desire to want to want to grow, to want to continue to help to impact other people's lives, you can crash and burn. You can come back from the ashes, and you can continue to go out and give and be impactful.
Hey,
and
Billy,
you can find a niche.
if you don't mind, let
What's
me
up?
share one quick story that I forgot. That's really important because you just touched on it. It'll take 2 minutes.
Yeah.
You know, I talked about that house I built on the beach. Okay, that testament to my ego. That's what I called it. Testament to my ego to prove the world I was good enough. Yep. So I'm floating in the pool 2 months after I built it, and I'm looking up at this thing that I built. It was spectacular. I mean, I could go on and on how beautiful it was. Giant waterfall from the second floor into the pool. On the second floor, around the spiral staircase that went up through the middle of the house, I had an aquarium built that cost me $200,000. So that gives you an idea of the house. I floating in the pool 2 months after I built it, and I got depressed. Okay. And I'm like, what the hell? How could I be depressed? I've just achieved success like times 10,000. But what happened was, and this relates to the goal conversation. I just really want to share this real quick. So I didn't know what I was going to do next. Like the book says, without a vision, the people perish, the good book. And I didn't have a vision for my future. And so when you do your goals, if you have, if you're about to reach a big one, make sure you have other goals lined up behind it. So that's number one. But the second important thing, real quick, is I'd been totally focused on Rod. Show the world I'm good enough. Show the world I matter. And that's when I met Tony Robbins, and I saw he fed families. And I told you, I've now fed 95,000 children for the holidays. That was life-changing. So I know if you're listening to Billy, you want success bad. Maybe you got blood dripping from your teeth. You want it so freaking bad. And, we've been taught to achieve to be happy. I'm going to tell you, when you give back, you're happily achieving, and you're going to get there much freaking faster. So figure out how you're going to give back. Don't wait to say, I will do it when I'm rich or when I have money. Do it now, because you'll get there faster. Sorry, I just wanted to share that.
No, thank you so much for sharing that, Rod. And it just is one more thing to add, right? Just being able to focus on giving and giving to others, and it does come back.
It
times
comes back 10 or times 100.
Yeah, exactly. Completely agree with you. And it's just one more reason that I'm sure that so many of the Going Long family is thinking to themselves, oh my gosh, you've taken us through your entire journey. You've given us highlights. You've given us an opportunity to reach out to you, find out more about you. And I know that you've done it high level, but this is the opportunity really to, what is the best way? And if you can remind us once again,
sure.
Those in the States, how do we get in touch with you?
Go to Real Estate with Rod. Okay, go to Real Estate with Rod. That goes right to my website. My name's hard to spell. RodKleif.com is hard to spell. So go to Real Estate with Rod. Listen to my podcast, for God's sakes. I don't care if you're not wanting to do real estate. It will add value to you. I promise. There's a reason I'm at over 10 million downloads. Okay, and that's not ego. It's just I want to add value to you. You'll enjoy it. You'll really enjoy it. And then that's it really. And if you want to do my boot camp, again, $97 for 18 hours of training with nothing being sold, kind of a duh. Yeah. And so go to, text multifamily to 414. I'm sorry, text. Did I say 414? Okay.
Yeah, you said 41411.
I screwed up. It's multifamily to 72345. 41411 should work for a while. I don't know when this is going to go live, but they switched the number on me. So text it to 72345 and use the code RODFRIEND. Okay. And you can come for $97.
72345.
I've never had a complaint. Thousands of people have come. I've never had a complaint. Only complaint is the breaks are too short, because I do 15-minute breaks because I pack in as much as I can. So,
all right, awesome. Well, listen, Rod, on behalf of the entire Going Long family, I just want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for investing your time with me and with the entire family today. So thank you very much.
I enjoyed it.
All right, thank you very much. Awesome. So listen, for the Going Long family, once again, you've heard Rod Khleif. He's been here. He's shared so much. He's added so much value. He's really, really, really gone to the bottom of his heart and shared his insight, shared his over 40 years of experience. And you know what? You have the opportunity today to make a unique, positive impact on somebody else. You can share today's episode with 2, 3, 10 other people, right? And you can be that person that really is looking to help and give, as Rod just talked about. So feel free to share this episode with others. Feel free to leave us, let us know, write down what you loved about what Rod talked about today. What would you love for him to talk about when he comes back the next time? It's a great way to help him to understand, and for me to understand as well, with a written review. And you know what? If you want to leave a rating that's 5-star, feel free to do that as well, because we would love to receive that from you. And so, you all know that I love being here every single week, a couple times a week to share with you. And I am really, really looking forward to welcoming you back on the very next conversation. Until then, I want to ask you to go out and make it a great day. And thank you very much. Wow. Don't you love hearing from top-notch experts in the field? You know, when I was getting started, I really wish that I would have had access to such experts. And even more, I wish they would have given me like a really simple list of things to follow so that I could have gotten to my goals much faster and been much happier even sooner. So that's why I've created for you the 7 things that you should avoid in order to be successful in long distance investing. And you can pick that up really easily by going to billykeels.com/7 things to avoid. And also, if you liked today's episode, don't forget to leave a 5-star review. I'm looking forward to seeing you on our very next episode, so go out and make it a great day.